as we have you with us. So we are discussing the topic, Kanwarpriya, which is putting the organization on a digital skills transformation roadmap, right? And you would have seen how learning and development itself has transformed and evolved in the last decade or so with the help of digitization and digitalization, right? Gone are the days when we used to send the hard copies of the courseware, and we used to send it to the client venues, right? Or the third party venues, and we used to also collect the hard copy of the feedback forms and the attendance sheets, right? So we have also come a long way, right? And in fact, you won't believe, since our sister concern companies, TeamLease Services and other companies, they are into staffing and the recruitment business, right? And every JD which we receive from any corporate nowadays will have a must have desired skill, which is being digitally savvy, right? It's like business communication used to be probably a decade back, right? It's a must have kind of a skill. So in this context, let me just ask you that in today's rapidly evolving digital landscape, how do you envision the role of learning and development professionals in driving the digital skills transformation within the organization, Kanwarpriya?
No, absolutely. And I totally resonate with the old days, how things were at that time and now how things have shifted drastically since the past few years. So rapid advances in technologies are really reshaping the world of our work, bringing new efficiencies, accelerated innovation, new products and services, but also new challenges with it, right? It's not all hunky dory. There are some challenges that all this brings in, which is our talent ready for this rapid change in technology and reshaping of the new world of work or future work as we call it. So those two challenges in my view are upskilling and reskilling. And as per a McKinsey report that I was reading, majority of CEOs are noticing the skill gap. And despite of being aware of this, a lot of HR leaders do not have a strategy in place to cater to these issues. And due to this, the organizations nowadays are struggling with building capability for new age areas. So accordingly, of course, this impacts modern day L&D professional role as well. And that has certainly evolved. So how do we address this, right? That's the focus of an L&D professional in the whole change that has been brought up. In my view, L&D professionals should start with the why, on why we want to make this shift, identify the what, and then move into how. Mostly, how this is addressed is that without looking at the why and the what, L&D professionals straight away jump into the how, which is why some of those initiatives may not be as fruitful as it might be for others. So now what is this why, what, and how in my view? So the why is understanding what are the digital elements that one has to bet upon. Where is the organization headed? What is the organization's strategic goal? How are they getting impacted with the technological advancement or digital advancements? Where is the employee right now? What is the current skill level of our employees? What is the future state? What is that gap? Defining a digital skill transformation strategy in line with the org strategy is the why that our L&D professionals has to start with, and that's how the role has primarily evolved. After that, I would say moving on to the what of it. After you've understood why you want to make that change, comes the what. So what would be the components of that strategy that could result in this capability building? The fact is that emerging skills talent is hard to get from outside. So L&D professionals must find ways to build that talent from within. And at Aon, we strongly believe in building the talent instead of buying it from outside. So we or any other L&D professional must have to find ways to quickly build that from within. Catering to various learning styles, it's best to have blended learning approach, mix of experiential and self-paced learning. In person or self-paced learning is a question that I'm sure we'll discuss as we proceed ahead. Identifying the right set of experts internally or externally, curating the relevant training content, doing the right tie-ups like yourself, right, becomes extremely important for an L&D professional to think about. Then is the how of it, which is where generally people straight away jump onto. Now, the how is in my belief, it cannot be possible without inculcating digital mindset amongst employees. Now, digital mindset is different than knowing or doing digital. Digital mindset for me is behaviors that enable us to see how digital skill transformation opens new possibilities to chart our way or to find out our way to success in today's VUCA or now Vani world, right? It's continuous learning mindset with motivation to use the skills learned. So not just L&D, the entire organization has to play a role here. But in particular, L&D must help point people towards the right direction, help them figure out what their competencies are, guide them on how to build the right competencies. Learning needs are to be highly personalized with millennials, Gen Zs, and all the new generation coming in. It has to be personalized. At Aon, the accountability of learning needs is not with L&D, me, or the leaders or the managers. It's employees' responsibility. That's how it has worked for me. Vivek, I don't know if that helped answer your question, but that's
No,
basis my
absolutely.
experience.
It does. You nailed it, Kanwarpriya. I mean, that's how ideally it should be. Because if you want to address an issue, you should know what is the objective behind that. Need to know
Absolutely.
why do you need that, and then only you will be able to address that. So, interesting perspective, and I fully agree with you and I second my thoughts with you. Thank you very much. Now, this brings to my next question to you, Kanwarpriya. You would have seen how digitization and digitalization has evolved the entire banking system, right? Not only the system has transformed, but the entire user experience has also changed, right? I mean,
Correct.
gone are the days, probably 15 years back, I recall my father used to have an account in Punjab National Bank, and sometimes he used to send me to update his passbook, and I had to stand in queues to just to get that passbook updated, right? So the entire banking system has transformed and evolved, you see. So could you please share a compelling example or a case study where your organization successfully implemented a digital skills transformation program, like the example which I gave you, and what were the key drivers of its success? It could be within your current organization or from your past experience as well, wherein you have successfully implemented a digital skills transformation program.
No, absolutely. And that's a great question, right? Otherwise, it's all just a talk and
Absolutely.
nothing material. So let me give you a little bit of background first before I go ahead and answer your question in particular. A little bit about Aon. At Aon, we have two businesses. One is a client-facing revenue-generating consulting department or business, and the other one is a back office shared service business. Now, the second group for which I have picked out this case study operates with operating efficiency and cost effectiveness as their key working principle. So I'm linking it to the why answer that I shared with you before. So their strategy is operational efficiency and cost effectiveness. Now for this group, we did a strategic intervention where we wanted to do an effective skill gap analysis, considering that there was a requirement of digitization, automation, because the operational efficiency and cost effectiveness was the key. We started with a humongous task of listing down team-wise, role-wise, skills required today and for the future, and at what proficiency levels those are required. And through, effective evaluation, we were able to not only identify just the digital skill gaps, but also behavioral and domain skill gaps as well. So through this, we were able to identify our why and what. I'm just linking it to the previous answer that I gave. Now coming to the how part of just pertaining to the digital skills to answer your question, we launched an intervention called Tech Up. Now, through this whole intervention we called as skill mapping, we knew the list of skills needed, where our colleagues stand on those skills right now, and what is the desired proficiency level they should be at. So we had a very objective, training needs identified. We launched a program to cater to this called Tech Up. It was not just a program, it was a proper laid out intervention where we specifically curated to cater to digital skills we knew our employees had a gap on. We divided the learning basis the proficiency levels to the point that I made earlier, that it has to be highly personalized. We cannot send everyone onto a particular training program and consider all of them as equal. No, everyone's requirement is different. So we peg them into 3 proficiency levels. These are the set of individuals who will attend beginner training first, beginner training intervention first. These are the set of individuals who will attend intermediate proficiency training. And then these are the set of individuals who will go for the advanced program across the various skills that we identified around AI, Power BI, big data, cloud, and you name it, right? Uh, uh, of course, then, there were assessments, there was a proper 70-20-10 model that we followed, there were self-paced learning modules, mentors, coaching, and of course, experiential learning as well. And because of that experiential learning component that we added, through this initiative, within 3 months, for the first cohort that we ran, we were able to save about 2,500 man hours worth, which clearly then linked it to the operating efficiency, because this group was able to do a lot of automation, a lot of manual intervention that was there, which really helped them. So what were the key drivers for us? But threefold in my view. One was the leadership commitment. Of course, it has to be driven from top to down. We had leadership commitment in terms of time allowed, because this was a big task. It needed a lot of learning hours to be spent upon, budgetary approvals, etc. So one point for me is leadership commitment, which was there throughout. Second was a robust communication strategy. At Eon, we do not believe in a push approach of learning. We have a very effective communication strategy through which we launch stories, how people have grown through the career ladder, how the various learnings have helped them. So the pull effect was created. That was the second key driver. And the third key driver, as I shared, was the personalized and blended learning approach to cater to all kind of learning styles. That really, really, really helped. And we were able to also achieve our why, what, and how effectively, and to be able to be strategic partners to the business, because this had clear linkage to their focus area or their strategy.
Absolutely. And 25% reduction in the man hours is an accomplishment, Kanwarpriya. I must congratulate you what you have achieved. And also, as you mentioned, that every learner's requirement would differ from the would differ from the others. And you rightly mentioned that that personalization is a key. So in the context of digital skills development, how do you balance the need for personalization and scalability in learning initiatives? And what strategies have worked best for your organization?
Yeah, and that can really be challenging, right? But it's essential to have a balance between the two to ensure effective and efficient learning outcomes, because it cannot be just scalability or just personalization. It has to have a mix of both. While personalization caters to individual learning needs, preferences, but scalability ensures that it's deployed across the organization, because then there are certain important skills that we would want everyone to have, which is more sustainable
Absolutely.
and a cost effective, right?
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
how do you do that? I'm just stretching it a bit. Let's say Gen AI is something which will help you to probably gear up for the future, right? And you need to scale on that, right? However, there will be few set of employees whose manager will restrict them to only learn a specific skill, which will confine them to just work on that specific project or a task. So how do you find a balance between the both?
Yeah, so maybe I'll have an elaborate answer, but to your point in particular, the example that you gave, at Aon, we have very limited programs for which we need manager nominations. The rest are all open to all our employees. So and of course, we create eligibility criteria accordingly, so that not everyone at a junior level is also going for leadership trainings, right? So we have eligibility criteria in place, but we do not try to restrict our employees, and colleagues can straight away send their nominations to us. But to answer your question about the balance, I think at Aon, we have a brilliant LMS in place that we leverage. It enables on-demand learning anytime, anywhere. So that really, really, really helps through this. What has worked for me or for us L&D at Aon is, number one is the blended learning approach, combining different learning modalities such as instructor-led training, online courses, micro-learning modules, on-the-job coaching, which can provide personalized learning experience. In addition, leverage scalable digital platforms. So as I shared before, we do not have one way to cater to any learning, be it digital or non-digital. It is always a mixed approach so that we have something or the other for everyone. Second is learning paths, developing structured learning paths or curriculum that covers essential digital skills, which are mandate, which are like compulsory, as I shared with you, that some of them are a push, but most of them are a pull approach for us, with some optional electives or advanced courses that can accommodate different skill levels and interests while maintaining a consistent basic one. And, people can opt for more as well. Our LMS leverages adaptive learning technology that uses an algorithm to personalize the learning experience based on individual preference. So let's say you were searching for something on our LMS, it will throw out all the relevant learning paths when you will log in the next time, that, maybe these are the additional things that might help. And again, on-demand learning, having tutorials, knowledge base, peer learning, social learning. We leverage our internal Yammer portal to share various links, various learning. So there is a mix of informal and formal learning that we cater to. And and I also believe that regular evaluation and adjustments based on learner feedback and performance data also helps refine this balance. So, the feedback from the learners is never goes waste for us. We always look at it very, very, very seriously and make sure that, there is always a 2.0 or a 3.0 or a 4.0 version every time when we, roll out the next offering.
Okay, great, interesting perspective. And at last, you mentioned learners' data. So this brings to my next question, which is that data and analytics play a crucial role in measuring the impact of digital skills development programs, Kanwarpriya. So can you elaborate how your organization leverages data to assess the effectiveness of such initiatives, and so that you can make those data-driven decisions in your organization?
Sure, Vivek, if my team will listen to this, this will make them smile. So I have a cliched statement that I make often to them, which is, in God we believe, everything else is data, right? So data analytics is certainly very, very crucial, and it's very important for us to measure the impact of what all we do, right? So it is one good thing that we are doing so many trainings, but how does that impact our business, right? So those are the analytics that have to be in place for any L&D function to call themselves successful. So we follow the basic Kirkpatrick model for measuring learning impact from what we did and how it had a business impact or a impact on the business outcome for all the learning initiatives that we have at Aeon. So before we get started for any particular intervention or a learning program, we make sure that we quantify the current state, the gap, and the desired state, or the desired state, the current state, and the subsequent gap. We get our stakeholders sign off at the very beginning, and together we detail out what are the things that they would expect to change post this course is over for their employees. And through the skill mapping initiative that I shared with you earlier, it has made it more easy and objective for us. Earlier it used to be different for different interventions, but now we have that ready resource for us, which will help us understand the current state. So it simplifies that. But going back to the Kirkpatrick model, right? Level 1, it is important to check with the learners if they found the training or learning interventions useful. As I said, those feedback points do not go waste. I personally look at most of those feedback received. And the questions that we asked are also very strategically designed. Those questions are not just 10 questions on facilitators, maybe 1 or 2 questions on how the facilitator was, other questions around perceived effectiveness of the training program, areas of improvement that they can suggest, whether they will be able to practically apply these acquired digital skills or not. So we try to put qualitative aspect to the quantitative question of a level 1 reaction feedback evaluation. Then we move to pre and post training assessment to check the impact of knowledge gained by our participants. How much was it before? How much was it after that? So that also helps us quantify. Moving on to the level 3, which is looking at the performance, if this has had an impact on performance of the participants. Of course, this is a time-consuming task. It need not happen right the next week. So we continue to have a sustained focus on it. Through the tech-up intervention that I shared with you earlier, for example, we analyze performance data related to digital processes, tools, or systems before they used and after the digital skills trainings, improvement in metrics of their productivity, efficiency, quality, customer satisfaction, etc. And then moving on to the business outcome, which is the level 4, which is the most important one, is we conduct cost benefit analysis by comparing investment in those programs with tangible benefits realized, such as maybe productivity, cost saving, revenue growth, through those improved digital capabilities. Like the 2,500 man hours saved that I shared with you was the level 4 impact of that particular learning intervention. And of course, continuous monitoring and iteration really helps. We do not just copy paste the intervention one batch to the other. We make sure that batch 1, whatever we have learned from it, batch 2 has something extra or something different to offer. Otherwise, with success of one program, learning functions may become complacent. But for us, programs need to evolve on a continuous basis. And of course, when we do skill mapping exercise number 1, which is we have identified these are the people who have gaps on their skills. And when we do the skill mapping intervention, again, we are able to see that the skill gap that we had identified before have either reduced or has gone away completely. So data becomes extremely crucial because that's the language our business will also understand. Otherwise, HR will become a cost center. This is really that factor which helps us at L&D become a strategic partner for them, because we are talking their language. We are showing them ROI on the investment made, and they are also able to see fruitful results. And it was not just an engagement initiative sending someone for that, and there was something actionable that came out of it.
Wonderful perspective. And you mentioned that, absolutely, Kanwarpriya. And you mentioned that that when it comes to driving the learning initiatives on digital skills, it has to be a pull rather than a push, right? And to some extent, I think that when it comes to the younger lot, due to the impact of the social media, it's easy probably to pull them or push them for the digital skills transformation. But when it comes to the older generation, probably they would be a bit rigid because they are not that much active in the social media, or they're not that much digital savvy. So as digital skills requirements continue to evolve, there will be something new which will be coming every now and then. So how do you foster a culture of continuous learning and adaptability among employees within your organization, Kanwarpriya? And what advice do you have for organizations who are looking to instill a learning culture?
This is the most interesting question, Vivek, I would say, because this is really the base, right? If there is no culture of continuous learning, then all that we discussed today would just go in vain. Maybe you are not aware, one of Aon's employee value proposition to our employees, or we call them as colleagues here, is that our colleagues are more relevant. Now, more relevant means that they are equipped with what's happening in the market, they're up to date with what's happening, and they are continuously working on sharpening their saw. That makes our job even more important, right? Because it's part of the EVP of the organization, and we have to live up to it every day, every night. And that's the first step to foster a culture of continuous learning and adaptability, to make it part of Aon's way of operating through its EVP. As I shared, for us, push strategy doesn't work. We focus on a pull approach, and it's a delight to see our sessions being overbooked every time we roll out any offering. The pull approach is the culture of learning that I'm extremely proud about Aon, and it has taken time for us to reach that stage. Now, how do you create that pull or that culture of continuous learning? Is some of the things that have worked really well for me is to have a communication strategy in place, which is linked to the learning strategy, which is in turn linked to the organization strategy, right? When you talk more about these initiatives, others are sharing their stories on how learning interventions have helped them. We do roadshows at our office on various interventions that exist. We do training fairs in a very fun and engaging way. We talk about various interventions that are there are success and even failure storytelling through speed mentoring sessions that we run at Aon. So the communication strategy that we have linking to our learning strategy has really helped us make a real difference onto this. And as I said before, at Aon, our employees or our colleagues own their development. So we put the onus on them and we encourage them to have a career development plan for themselves in place. There are quarterly check-ins that managers have to do every quarter to check on what they have worked on their development. And we do not believe in mandating learning hours. However, for some, as I shared before, we have to make some courses mandatory because they are crucial for our employees to go through them. But some other things that have helped, especially the generation who might not be as keen, to your question, is that our leaders are our real partners onto this journey. They lead by example. The commitment to continuous learning starts from them, right? And when leaders actually engage, they actively engage in upskilling themselves and prioritize their own learning, it sets a powerful example. So we do a lot of leadership talks, panel discussions where they share how they invest in themselves. I can give you my example. I have done my MBA. I'm pursuing my second MBA right? And it is not easy, but that's a step that I have taken, and that has really inspired some of the others as well. And the second thing that stands out for us is that we have something to offer for everyone. Be it you are an individual contributor, we have learning programs for you. If you're a people leader, we have learning programs for you. If you are a critical key talent or a hypo, we have a program for you. If you're a client-facing consultant, we have a program for you. If you're a techie, we have something. We have separate programs for women leadership development. We have tie-ups with NASSCOM, for example, to make sure our women in tech have focus or speed mentoring, or they have that added edge from emerging technology perspective. So we have some female employees, hypo employees who are part of those initiatives. If an employee is looking for Azure, PMP kind of certifications, we have a way to support them pursue it through our policies. We also have education and policy with tie-ups with premier institutes to encourage continuous learning. At Aon, we call it #nonstop learning. So that's the motto that we follow, which really helps create that pull factor. And when you personalize and cater to individual needs, that pull factor automatically comes in and it becomes easy. And as I shared before, most of our trainings are self-nominated. We gamify learning, incentivize colleagues, roll out top learners of the quarter, etc. That really helps create that engaging environment, right? And most importantly, the basic or the hygiene factor is ensuring that there are sufficient resources, including dedicated budgets, time allocation through leadership support, access to relevant tools and platforms that they could use or get support from. All of this really helps in the continuous learning initiative. So you have to, my advice for the organization, for the other organizations would be to have a strategic focus on making this part of the culture. I can proudly say that at Aon, we have been successful to be able to have a culture of continuous learning. And through some of these strategies, I'm sure it'll help others as well.
Absolutely, Kanwarpriya. And after hearing you,
I'm sorry, you're breaking in between.
Confess this. That's okay. Give me a sec.
Yeah, now your video is also clear. Previously it was hazy.
Okay. Is it better now, Kanwarpriya?
Yes, it's better.
Yeah. So I was just saying that after hearing you, I must confess, since I interact with a lot of other corporates as well, you are way ahead compared to other corporates when it comes to implementing the digital skills transformation roadmap in the organization, and the way you are ramping up on it. Probably you must be one of the leaders after hearing what all you are doing in your organization, Kanwarpriya. And so that's unfortunately, this is what I have in store for today. This because it's always great to interact with like-minded people. And if you are also from the same industry, you can probably drag any conversation to us. But I'm afraid that's the time today which we have. And I would like to thank you once again for your time today. And I would like you I would like to invite you for the upcoming program, which we will be doing in Gurgaon or in Delhi. And I guess last time you couldn't make it. I understand it
Correct.
from Tanvi and Rashi. It will be great if you come to our upcoming physical event, so that we can interact and brainstorm on a topic which is critical for the entire learning fraternity in the near future.
Absolutely. I'm extremely passionate about this. And I have a wonderful team who makes it happen on the grounds every day. So I must congratulate them for the efforts that they put in every day. And it's a bunch of passionate team. So and we really love what we do. Thank you. Thank you for having me here, Vivek.
Great. Great. Thank you very much for your time once again, Karpriya. Thank you very much. Bye.